In the early 1900s, alchemist Schwaller de Lubitz presented a work called The Temple of Man. It demonstrated that the architects of the Luxor Temple used sacred geometry, which reflected the exact proportions of the human body. As in all Egyptian temples, the most sacred space was located at the back of the temple, the Holy of Holies, which corresponded to the pineal gland. When activated, the pineal gland is said to stimulate the evolution of higher states of consciousness. If the temples were metaphors of the human body, the pineal gland corresponded with the Holy of Holies.
The Egyptian temple was more than a place of worship. The temples were the teaching.
This is the center of vision as it relates to consciousness.
Above the optical center of the temple, in what would correspond to the higher glands of the brain, we find a set of 3 interlocking sanctuaries. The solid stone walls between the 3 chambers hold one of the most amazing surprises to be found at Luxor. The expansive imagery carved into each side of separating walls can only be understood by combining the images carved on the other side of the same wall. The images interlock, enhance, and complete each other. It is as if a single image or idea was etched partially on one side of a thick sheet of glass and partially on the opposite side. The wall itself connects and synthesizes them. It is as if the walls depict a sacred thought being transmitted through the brain.
These are some of our personal insights. Here we have Schwaller's actual mosaics of the tiles laid out over the actual floor of the temple around the head. Here again is the room plan laid out a bit more clearly, and in the lower left corner, and here again is this large serpent wrapped around the head. This being the temple, it is ruled over by the element of air, the breath, the wind, and the mind. We're also talking about sound, music, song, and speech, eloquence, and incantations or spells, spell song. Amun here has the horns that twist around the ear. The ears also ring, have an autoacoustic emission in themselves. Here we can see Amun and Khnum. Now Khnum is the galactic exhalation and Amun is the inhalation. In Schwaller's book on the king, he tells us that the king can wear the netter crown, allowing the netter's functional divinity to act and work through the king himself. Each of us also can access this king energy, and therefore the netters. In the next 3 slides, I'm actually going to be presenting something that I discovered in an anatomy book, which showed what is the ram's head. Now, being an astrologer, I looked at that and went, wow, Aries really does have a ram's head. And what it governs is the hypothalamus. Is in the midst of that ram's head, and the hypothalamus governs the temperament. And there are 4 major temperaments which are listed here as to being choleric, melancholic, phlegmatic, and sanguine. And they each represent one of the elements of air, earth, fire, and water. And then I thought, well, this actually fits into Schwaller de Lubitz's work quite well, as you can see here. see the hypothalamus pulsating and then releasing neuropeptides. And these are the molecules of emotions, which when they go down either through the bloodstream or through the field directly as a frequency, then they begin to plug into the cell, docking at specific receptor sites, and then they begin to actually charge up and change the emotions of each cell, and that can allow the whole cell to change its shape, its energy configuration.
The netters, often somewhat misleadingly referred to as gods, symbolize the various natural laws and forces at work in the universe.
It is said that Ra creates the netters as his limbs. This indicates that the netters are part of the Ka, or the body of Ra, the double and the vital energy. Ta gave birth to the 9 netters. Ta is found as the heart within the body and the tongue within the mouth of each netter. In these next few slides there is what are known as the Jed columns. These are a column of power. Now that can represent the vertical axis of the spine, or it could also represent a power axis of sound coming up through the trachea. And as you can see here, it can be both the resonant uprightness of the spine, but also the resonance of air. Rudolf Steiner once said that the voice box was like a flower over which there was a butterfly hovering. He said that that butterfly was the butterfly bone, or the sphenoid bone, which when we talk or sing actually has a resonance that comes and causes the whole brain to be fluttered in a vibration. These wall depictions actually show a pole drawn at throat level bearing the bark, and the bark is a sound coming from the mouth. What I also noticed was that the feet can be doubled and then quadruple, and so they begin to look like that the legs are indicating vibration just by their appearance. Resonance can also be traveling right from the base bark in the Temple of Amun right up to the mouth area where there is another bark. And these 2 alcoves there represent probably a resonant passage through the whole temple that actually is in vibration. Consider here the deep resonance of singing of throat singers and harmonic singing as well, resonating through the whole body.
It is the perfect insignia for their status, but also connects to a concept found in countless cultures. It echoes and amplifies the similar concepts at the heart of Hindu and Asian sacred teachings.
Here the butterfly scarab can be seen to be the kundalini sound rising up to actually hit that part of the brain and bring it into vibration.